Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the More You Noble Sports Podcast. We know that last time when we left you, literally 24 to 36 hours ago, we told you we were taking a break. We lied. Here we are, big doings in Cardinal Baseball Nation today.
Really big, and I'm hoping to find a video of the press conference. Obviously, Mo and I don't know if Gerst was there. I think it was probably just Mo. Always every year has an end of the year press conference. And generally it's the same shit as every other year of, well, crapshoot playoffs and whatever the case may be. But this year, not the case at all. Much like last year, where we kind of expected the same people to be back and Schilt was gone. Not happening.
Yeah, no,
So
I thought. You want to take it like one at a time. There's really 3 to 4 big parts of. I guess 5. Let's start with Wayno. All right, because that was the first. That was the first big news released, and I saw a couple reports that claimed 18 million. You've said that's yet to be substantiated. That's good because 18 million makes me nervous. I'm not going to lie.
I did see a report that said there's new rules under the CBA, and I don't know exactly what those are. There's a lot of new CBA stuff that came out after last year's lockout with extensions, and basically that if you extend somebody, I think it has to be the same or more.
That's
But I don't know if it was an extension or if it was a new contract. That I
correct.
don't know. So like I said, I unfortunately wasn't able to find the press conference. So the verbiage is important for whatever Mozeliak said. I rely on Katie Wu for things like this, so I will be reading her story whenever it comes out, probably in the next hour. So we'll see. But
Here's what'll
the
happen.
fact
Hold
that
on.
it had
It'll come out immediately after we release the podcast.
It'll come out while
That's
we're
what
doing
always
it.
happens.
She just tweeted saying a story's coming soon, and she writes
Yeah.
quickly. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, yeah, good. I'm glad Wayno's back. I will say that.
Same.
I think that's good for the team. And knowing Wayno, I don't think we have to worry about another. It will be his last year. I'm pretty confident in saying that, but I don't know if he's going to say it. I just don't
Well,
think
there's
that's
two
his
things,
MO.
and I put this out there earlier today, and I think that it's things maybe we can talk about. One, very pumped that Wayno's back. Like he was one of our top 3 pitchers the entire year, and
He had a
obviously
really good year, even with his
yeah, I
bad
agreed. He hit the
September.
dead arm at the end.
No, it
Whatever.
wasn't that arm. It was his leg. Remember?
Oh, that's right. Well, they originally said dead arm, and then
Yeah.
he said, "Well, the dead arm." I think they kind of both coincided with each
They
other. But
asked.
either way,
So actually,
hold on.
that's
Let
an
me finish.
interesting thing. Go ahead. Sorry.
Okay. But what I will also say is if it is 18 million, I think that's a lot of money. But again, it's not my money as long as we're going to spend it where we need it as well. But the other thing I will say is I think honestly for Wayno, there's 2 things. I don't love another farewell tour. We've talked about that on here. That's not a Wayno problem. All right. That's not a Wayno issue at all. That's a front office issue and a Busch Stadium issue. So whatever. But what I will say is I think that 200 number has to play in to his mind. And I'm not saying he's seeking the Hall of Fame, but I do think 200 is, when you're that close, it's like Albert with the 700, even though he really wasn't that close, but then he got there. I think that 200 number has to be big. And as far as I'm concerned, I've laid my case out. A lot of people don't agree with it. I think if he gets to 200 and he puts up another solid, it doesn't have to be great, but a solid year, I think he's eventually in Cooperstown.
Adam Winter will be a Hall of Famer at some point in time. I don't know whether that will be in his first 10 years on the ballot or will be the Veterans Committee. But there is zero doubt in my mind that there is a time when we will see Adam Wainwright enshrined at Cooperstown.
Yeah, I think that makes it even easier if he gets to 200 wins.
Like, you see how long it took Jim Cott to get in,
which was a farce. And
yes, it is. But I don't think that there's. I mean, Jim Cott was a great pitcher. Don't get me wrong, but I don't know how much of a difference there is. Like, would you take Jim Cott's career over Wainwright's? Probably, but by much, I don't think so.
Yeah, so, Bert Blyleven was the other guy, right? He was like on the top of
that's a joke.
He
should have been in immediately. But
yeah, right, agreed. But that's the first big news. And like I said, here's the thing. I've seen a lot of people on the old social media. We refer to that a lot, but everybody talking about the card. So this means they're not going to get a true ace. Well, let me explain something. Now, I know you're not in the same camp as I am. All right, but let me just say, there's 2 true aces that are going to be available. It's Verlander and it's DeGrom.
Mm-hmm.
I see zero way that they're both going to get 40 million plus. They are, or 35 plus. If
they
you
both
want,
deserve it. They both get over
40. No argument, zero argument there. But that is not in the Cardinals' makeup. And also, if we're going to be honest, I would love both of them. Do not get me wrong. I see no way Justin Verlander leaves Houston. They've got money to spend. He seems to fit there perfectly. And why would he leave? DeGrom, I don't know what happens there. But this team also needs to add 2 massive bats to their lineup. And if you spend 40 million on Verlander or DeGrom, that means you're not filling other holes. And honestly, it was 2 games. I get the argument against it. Starting pitching wasn't the problem for the Cardinals. So,
no, but the argument would be if you want them to go deep into October, they're going to need someone to step up and be that guy. I got 2 thoughts on it. One, Verlander would be the one I would go for if I were to say it, and that would be me being the person that's not spending any money and saying I would
correct,
spend $200+ million.
It is not our checkbook, right?
Also, I think they are in the spot to where they could trade for one. They could trade for one with a year and a half of control.
Yes.
Not a Verlander or DeGrom type, because I don't know how many. There's 3 or 4 players on the planet like those two. There's not very many. But you could do that. You go that way as well. Or, I mean, I'm not opposed to seeing what Jack Flaherty's like and addressing it back at the deadline if you really need an ace and there's one available. So
I agree with all those points. And here's the other thing I'll say, just to throw that out there. I think a lot of people mistake a true number 1 versus a true ace. There's only a handful of aces in baseball. And, you talked about the deep run. Look at the Mets. They had Scherzer and DeGrom. Those are 2 aces. They got bounced in the first round.
Yep.
You know what I
mean?
No
guarantee.
So nothing. That's it. There's no guarantees. And when also, I have been the guy that have always said I hate giving big money to pitchers. It's such a crapshoot. Plus, they only pitch every 5th day.
That's why I say Verlander's different for me, because it's such a short-term contract that I would say if you said Verlander, here's $45 million for next year, unless he gets hurt, I would almost guarantee you that he would bring that value to your team. I can almost guarantee it.
I get it, but I think he's going to do that in Houston. That's what I'm going to say.
I hope he does, and I hope he does, honestly. Yeah. But
the other thing I wanted to add to that, and then we can move on to point 2, because we don't need to spend too much time talking about this. We'll get to this later. But a lot of people are throwing out Carlos Rodon. He's not an ace, guys. He's not. He had an incredible 2022
He did have the
season.
highest Ks per 9 in the league. So that is something that we need.
Okay.
But yes.
Here's what I'm going to say. Look at Kevin Gausman's numbers from last year. They're almost identical to Carlos Rodon's numbers. All right. Yeah. Rodon is going to turn 30. Look at his first 5 years in the league. He's never pitched over 200 innings unless he did it this year. He might have done it this year. That would be the first.
No, 178.
Yeah, he's never done it. He broke down 2 years ago for the White Sox. I'm not bashing on Carlos Rodon. What I'm saying is, if I'm Rodon and I'm opting out, which all signs point that he's going to get 22 mil owed to him, I think, from the Giants. That means he's going to want 3 to 5 years, 25 million AAV or more. And I would not. I'm just telling you, I would not do that. That's all I'm saying.
And here's the thing: if we want to be realistic, which is what I like to do, because I don't like saying, "Oh, well, let's go get Trey Turner, Rodon," and no, like that's not going to happen.
And Contreras.
But here's the thing: you're going to have to outbid other teams. Like it's not just, "Oh, well, I think Rodon's worth 25 million, so give him 25 million." Well, what if the Mets lose Jacob deGrom and Chris Bassett, and they say they think Carlos Rodon's worth 35 million?
Right.
You're going to outbid them? That's not how it works.
Right.
So it's not just, and also, where's Carlos Rodon want to be at? That's the thing that frustrates me so much in free agency. Is it's like, okay, well, say Trey Turner gets 32 mil a year next year. You say, well, the Cardinals could offer him 33. Well, maybe they could, but maybe he didn't want to be in St. Louis. So there's a lot of factors that go into it.
Goes right back to the Juan Soto argument that our package was very good, but the Padres, the Nationals thought the Padres were better, and they wanted us to up ours. We weren't willing to. So it's not. I agree. No, it's like last year, and I was on the train of this. I wanted Jock Peterson to be a Cardinal last year in the offseason, right? But I think, and I don't know if we even made him an offer. I don't know.
I doubt it.
We may never know. But the thing is, he also wanted to be in San Francisco or out in, like, you can't argue against it. That's the same with Luis Garcia. We made him an offer to stay here in St. Louis. He wanted to go to San Diego. Like, there was nothing we could do unless we really outbid, like, massively against ourselves. And you're right. Like, that's one argument that I think so many people don't understand. And for 25, 30 years, everybody wanted to be in St. Louis. I'm not saying that we're not a destination. I'm saying it's not what it was.
St. Louis is a place that a lot of people would love to be, but
it's not where everyone wants to be.
But a lot of people would.
Right.
But I'm not gonna sit here and say that if I got offered, if I was a Major League Baseball player and the Cubs said here's $35 million, and then the Padres said here's 32, that I wouldn't rather go be with Fernando Tatis, Juan Soto, and Manny Machado in San Diego than I would be in Chicago. Like that's
Agreed.
the real. That's how real part of it.
Just to circle the wagons back, we're glad Waino's back. I do think you're right, and I'm on board. If a healthy Jack changes the entire landscape, I think they've got a lot of decisions to make. You've got You've got Miles, you got Monty, you got Matt, you got Wayno, you've got Palante, you've got Woodford, you've got Dakota. Like
You're missing one.
Who?
Could you say Miles, Monty,
Wayno,
Matt,
Dak,
Woodford, Jack. You missed Jack.
Palante. Well, I was discounting him because I was saying if he's your number one.
Yeah.
I'm
so those are your
him.
5, and then you've got the pitching.
That's 7, dude. That's 7 other outside of Jack that they're going to have to make a decision on. The problem that I think a lot of people have, and I'm not excluding us from this argument, those guys, in my opinion, are 3s, 4s, and 5s on really good rotations. Like, look at Miles Michaels. 1, he wouldn't even be in the Houston Astros rotation this year, right? He wouldn't have been.
None top 4, no.
2, he's the number 4 guy for the Phillies. So, like, if you're looking at a team like in my opinion, a number 2 guy would be great. Carlos Rodon fits that. I'm just telling you, for the money, I would tread very lightly there. That's
how you counteract great pitching? You get hitters that can hit the great pitching.
Yeah, right.
And then it doesn't matter. If you can get because Miles Michaelis, Quintana, and Montgomery all were fantastic in the postseason. You get those pitching performances and you have a lineup that can go out there and bang good pitching and score 3 runs, you win both games.
Last thing for you, before we move to point number 2, because we do want to kind of stay focused there, but this is what you and I do. So point number 2, do you think this takes Q off the table here in St. Louis then?
I think he was off the table after the season ended.
Okay, that's fair. I just thought, your number 1, your game 1 starter in the playoffs. I mean, but
I have to go to a 6-man rotation.
I'm not like, or you have to make a big trade.
But who are you going to trade out of your rotation?
I mean, Montgomery, I think, could be available. I think obviously Dak.
I think they're going to look to extend him, and they should.
I disagree.
I'll extend Monty for 4 years.
Okay, that's what we. Okay, I get it, but that's what we did with Miles after his first great year, and he was MIA for 2.5 seasons.
And he's been great. Well, no, but that's different because Monty wasn't a guy that failed, went to Korea, and came back in his 30s.
I know. I'm just saying. It goes back to my leeriness of starting.
Can I tell you why Jordan Montgomery is a guy I'd be comfortable with doing that too? He is just a guy that takes the ball every 5th day, and he has been his entire career. He doesn't miss time.
I get it.
Often.
Now,
he made.
look
at this, Dad. 30 starts, and he made 30 starts in 21. All 10 starts in 2020, and 32 starts in 2022.
Yeah,
that's a pretty guy I feel confident in.
I get it. But how many? Okay, I get it. But I don't know. We can move on.
Well, we'll see. I mean, I don't know if you can have to rush to that. You can see how he does next year. But
I would not. That's what I'm saying. Like, I would be much more willing, if I'm a franchise, to give Justin Verlander 1 year, $45 million, than I would to give Carlos Rodon 3 years, $75 million. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I never said Carlos Rodon's the guy I would go after.
No. I'm saying, like, my thing is, instead of extending guys for 3 years, I'd much rather give starting pitch. But nobody wants that except Trevor Bauer, and he is a free agent now. So.
Well, yeah, or Max Scherzer, but that's a different situation.
Let's move on from Wayno. We're happy Wayno's here. We'll wait to see on the money. I do think if it is 18, which it could be, I think that's a lot of money to give a 41-year-old starting pitcher. I really do. I'm not saying he hasn't earned it throughout his career, but again, if I'm an organization, it's hard to pay guys in the future for things they've done in the past.
At the same time, if they're willing to overlook it and not care too much about it, then I shouldn't care because I'm not paying.
Fair. I agree. As long as it doesn't prevent them in other places.
If it doesn't prevent them from making moves, I couldn't care less what he gets.
Let's skip number 2. We'll come back to that because number 3, in my opinion, should be number 1, and that's the fact that Mo and Nolan talked. We talked about this literally 24 hours ago on our last podcast.
Interesting. This is very interesting. The verbiage of how this was reported is interesting, and it's positive. So people take it in a negative way. You're just not reading it correctly. But here, I'll read you Jeff Jones' exact tweet just so I don't mince any words. He said, Mo met with Arenado in California this week and had a discussion about the direction of the club. Optimistic of a positive resolution in the near future. As ever, sounds like they're planning on his return. So, of course, they've been planning his return the whole time. We knew that. That's why they moved Jordan Walker. That's why they moved Nolan Gorman. Here's what's interesting to me about that. One, talking about the direction of the club, that tells me that Nolan lit a fire under them and said, "You got to get us a team that competes." That's how I read it, at least. Give me a team that can compete with the Dodgers, or I'm going to go join the Dodgers. Maybe that's what he said. But also, it means that both sides are very committed in making this work.
Yep.
The fact that Nolan's meeting with him, he doesn't have to do that. If he plans on opting out, if that was his plan, he wouldn't even hold a meeting. He would have just said, "I'm opting out."
Agreed.
So, and Mo going to California, obviously that's a good gesture on his part to go meet him, not make him come to you. And optimistic about a positive resolution in the near future. For those of you who don't know, you have to opt out if you're going to within 5 days after the World Series ends.
Right.
So the near future means the next 2 weeks.
Yep.
However long the World Series.
You asked me last pod. I'll say it again. I've been saying it. I'll stay consistent with this. Nolan Arenado is our third baseman opening day 2023.
You know what I believe?
Know
what I really believe is
I
happening?
have no reservations.
I believe they're trying as hard as they can to figure out a way to make his contract fit what he wants while being able to have the Rockies continue paying them.
Okay. I agree with that, and that's smart.
Yeah, and I don't think. And here's the thing: it doesn't seem like either of the two have a much urgency in making this happen right now. And I think there's two ways you can take it. One is if you want to be negative, you can say that Arenado's just gonna go do whatever he wants. I don't believe that. Or two, it means they both know they're going to come to an agreement, and there's not really pressing to do it until the deadline.
Right.
Agreed. So that's how I'm taking it. We need Nolan back. That's step number. You could have a list of priorities for the off season. Number one is bringing Nolan Arenado back to St. Louis, and I don't care.
I agree. All right. Point number 3 to me was they are going to seek out a catcher. That's one of the ones I took out.
And they said not a 1A 1B situation. They want a legit starting catcher.
Yes. Yep. There's two ways to look at this. You and I have been in the camp, and we're going to stay in that camp. It's go sign Wilson Contreras. It seems to again, you get into your argument against it, where you can do a bidding, where I understand that, but it does seem that like Wilson Contreras is very interested in being here. We reached out to them at the trade deadline. Nothing could be worked out. It almost feels like an absolute slam dunk, which means it never will be. But you and I have said and maintained that sign a guy at catcher instead of having to trade for him. Then you still have all your assets that you can trade for a starting pitcher and an outfielder, because we do have a plethora of assets that we're going to have to address.
Here's what I will say. It's Sean Murphy or Wilson Contreras or bust. Those two. I like Christian Vasquez a lot. I think he's a really good catcher. I don't know if I want to pay an aging catcher $8 to $10 million a year, whatever he's going to get. If they believe that they want to go after another free agent, whether that's a big outfield bat, whether that's a shortstop, I don't know what they want. Then I'm okay with them trading for Sean Murphy, because he's going to only make $3 million next year. So it just depends on what their plans are. If their plans aren't to go get another big bat, then yeah, go get Wilson Contreras, because why wouldn't you? But if they want to go get a big bat and not have to, and they have a budget, and Sean Murphy can be $3 million, I'm all in.
That's fair. I just don't see them getting in the shortstop sweepstakes when Mason Wynn is.
There's a lot of smoke around it right now. A lot more than I thought there would be. A lot more than last year, where a lot of reporters are saying that they believe they're going to be in the shortstop market. I don't know what that means.
Okay, let's just take 2 minutes here. Then you got 4. You got Bogarts, Correa, Turner, Swanson. In order, reverse to first. Who would you? Oh no, let's go first to last. Who would you want one? Then who would you want last?
Trey Turner is the best player of them all, so he's one. And then it's Correa, and then I don't want the other two.
Really? I would love Dansby Swanson here in St. Louis. No, I don't think he's leaving Atlanta.
He's inconsistent hitting wise. He's very inconsistent. But also
he had an incredible year.
He's going to get paid for the great year he had, and my motto has always been pay them for.
He's the youngest of the 4.
I don't know. Trey Turner's pretty young too, but my motto's always been he went to college, so I don't know if he's younger than Correa. He probably isn't younger than Correa. My motto's always paid players for what they've done their entire career, not what they've done the last season before free agency. That's always what I believe.
I get it. Trey Turner, 29.
I think Correa's 27. He's probably the youngest.
Let me look here.
Because the other two went to college. Correa did not go to college.
All right. Well, you keep talking while I look here. Otherwise, we have dead air.
So here's what I'll say to you, Dad, and this would be what I would do. You know how Correa took that deal last year, the opt out Layden deal, because he wanted to revisit his market the next year. If any of those 4 have that same problem, that's the guy I want.
Correa
for 1 year.
Correa and Swanson both 28.
Okay. So if there's a guy that isn't getting the market he wants and wants to take a 1 year deal, and come in the next year as the big free agent guy, shortstop guy, that's the guy I want. I don't know if I want to lock any of them down for a long term, unless it's Trey Turner.
If I'm asking you, I'm putting you on the spot here because I don't know this answer. Do any of those 4 guys, I assume they do, have the draft pick tied to them?
Trey Turner does, I believe.
Bogarts would have to, right?
No, I don't believe Bogarts does because he was on an extension, not on his original
Okay.
um deal, and Correa does not. I know that for a fact. So I don't
Swanson
know.
would.
Swanson
Swanson
would.
would.
I know for a fact Swanson and Turner do. I do know about the other two.
I just bring that up
Contreras
because
does
in
as well, by the way.
who?
Contreras.
Okay. I mean, in the past, that's been something the Cardinals have shied away from. I don't know if they will now,
Which
though.
makes sense, by the way, because guess what? With those compensation picks, they did get T Kents. Like, so
Yeah.
there is reasoning
Right.
why they do that. And the way Randy Flores has been drafting people, I get why they might want him to have another pick. But I don't. I hope that's not something that deters them from getting a player that could really benefit their team.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. Um,
But what
just
I will say
intriguing
is,
to
if
kind
there's
of
a
look at.
stopgap guy you can get, and I'm not talking Jose fucking Iglesias, we don't need him.
No.
If there's a correct, if not correct, because he's gonna get a bag probably. But say Trey Turner's not getting the market he wants. He says, "Hey, I want $40 million for 1 year." Do you consider it? You have to, but I don't know. I don't know what they're gonna do.
Just to look this up, just to give our listeners a few little points here. Turner this year led all shortstops in OPS with a 1.111
He's the best shortstop
OPS.
in baseball. That's not close.
I mean, that's unbelievable, isn't it? Swanson was ninth, but this is not correct, so I don't know what the
Correa was
highest.
really good. Correa might have had a higher OPS than Trey Turner did.
Yeah, what is happening here? Hold on here. Sometimes MLB's thing is not.
I think Correa
You
had
know what I mean?
the highest OPS among shortstops at 834.
Do what?
I think Correa had the highest among shortstops at 834.
Did he really?
He
Because
had a
this
great
says
year.
Turner.
I don't know. Either way, they're both great. I do think they're gonna. I don't know. I don't know what they're gonna do. That I mean, when you say your payrolls go, okay, that's I guess let's get to that part because that's kind of the most important part here.
Yeah.
Um, Mosaic said first off he thanked the fans. I actually really this is my favorite quote I've ever maybe seen from John Mosaic. Nothing against him. He just sometimes he's very coy about things. But he said the payroll will increase. That's a direct quote. And he thanked the fans for good attendance and said that the Pujols and Yachty farewell tour play a factor into why the payroll are going to increase.
Good.
One, I've been saying that the whole time that they should increase. They made I don't know how many hundreds of millions of dollars off of two guys on very minimal deals. But two, what does that mean? Does that mean increase to $200 million? Because it was at 170 last year. Does that mean it's going to increase to 180, 190? I don't know. But here's the thing. The 170 million was what it was in 2022, and they already have 45 million of that 170 gone. So they have $45 million to play with to get back up to 170, but they also have then if it's going to increase, they have more money. So they might have
Right.
55, 65, $70 million to play with this offseason. Now I don't know what they do with that, but who's out there that they're going to want to go get that's not a shortstop? Like who's the big
Right.
guy?
Just to clarify, I was on the postseason part of the MLB app. So here you go. Of the four guys we talked about, Bogarts and Correa both with an 833 OPS this year. Turner 809, Swanson 780, 776. I rounded up.
All four are great players.
All four were in the top six at the shortstop position. I would be happy with any single one of them, but I'm going to say it again. Unless they plan on maybe moving Mason Wynn to second base, which I don't know, or you would move.
He's such a good arm that probably won't happen.
Yeah, Trey
Turner has played second base before, but then you
correct.
go into the Tommy Edman, Nolan Gorman, Donovan,
Yeah.
whatever. So it is a very difficult situation, but I've always been a guy that says get the best players you can get and figure it out later.
Okay, let's get to the what I kind of not necessarily biggest, but the one that got the jolt the most.
Let's talk about the payroll because I think that's kind of important.
Oh, the payroll.
What do you think? What do you think that means? I mean, like I said, they have. Okay, so let me put a qualifier in. They have 45 mil to play with to get back to 170 where they were at. If Nolan Arenado is getting paid by the Rockies, I believe they owe him $25 million this year.
Right.
So if that happens, they have 45 mil to get back up to where they were. Plus, it's going to increase to whatever they decide their budget is. We'll see where that contract goes. So what do you think that means? Do you think that means they're going
here's
up
what
to
I'll
190?
Say. We don't see the thing about baseball, which is, in my opinion, so weird. Like when you get to the NBA and you get to the NHL and you get to the NFL, we know exactly what people are making and what they're paying. Like the salary cap, right?
And what they're going to spend because they all want to get to the salary cap.
Right. MLB is completely different because only the Atlanta Braves do we know how much they make. So anything with the Cardinals is speculation, right? That's all you can do is speculate. Ticket prices, but there's so many factors that go into it. I believe that if you're going to look at it, there's no reason that the Cardinals couldn't approach the $200 million payroll as the St. Louis Cardinals in 2023. That's what I'll say.
I think they probably agree with that. And I think the biggest factor in this, Dad, is do you look at the payrolls of the teams that were left standing after the Cardinals were eliminated? The Cardinals were 25% lower than any of them in their payroll.
Right.
That's a substantial margin. Like that, I'm not saying $170 million payroll is a cheap payroll, because by no means in St. Louis is it, for the market size that we are in. But the St. Louis Cardinals are such a different team. Like they make so much more money than a team of St. Louis should probably make, because of the fan base and because of how loyal they are and because of how many people show out every single weekend.
Correct.
You could not come into this year after how much money they made off of Albert, Yachty, being second in attendance to the Dodgers, who are first every single year. You could not come into this year and make excuses about how you don't have money. We all know you're getting a cut of the Apple TV money. We all know you're getting a cut of the Peacock money. So I think that they realize that, and I love the transparency of one saying it will increase, because he never does that. Like it could increase and he wouldn't have said anything, and that wouldn't have surprised me. But two, to also acknowledge the reason of why it's increasing and say, hey fans, we probably should have spent more money last year. He didn't say that, but this is this is what I think.
Correct.
Kind of his words maybe meant. But you guys really showed out and were great for us last year. So because of that, we were going to increase. And it's kind of a reward. It's kind of weird to say it that way, but it's kind of what it is. Like, hey, you guys came out and supported us, so we're gonna give some of the money that you gave us back into the team. So I really like that.
I agree 100%. Trying to get here we go. Okay, just to give again our listeners an idea, Cardinals were 12th this year in total payroll, at $179 million. Now when you hear that, that's not just the 26 guys. That's everything.
And before we do that, it's 179. That's going to be after the trade deadline. They went into the season at 170.
Correct.
So they picked up Quintana, Montgomery money.
This was at the end of the year. Correct. Yeah. That is correct. So if you want to look at it like that, Mets were 1 at 282, Dodgers at 275, Yankees at 264, Phillies were 4th, which I think will surprise a lot of people. But
they were the luxury tax.
Padres 6. Now here's what the reason I say that they could be at 200 is the Astros are at 190. We're at 192. And the Braves were at 200 million. I think we could easily fall in both bigger markets than St. Louis, I understand. But we're also talking about a place that gets over 3 million fans every single year, has Ballpark Village, has everything, not to mention you just can't tell me the amount of jerseys sold in the farewell tour.
If you go up to 185, even 190.
You got to get to 190, dude. At
this point, if you go up to 190, but what I was going to say is you have $60 million to play with this offseason. Like, what are you going to do with that? Right. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I also lead you to believe that there's no chance that Nolan Arenado is not a Cardinal next year, because they're going to do whatever it takes to get him back here.
We also, and we could look it up. I don't have it in front of me, but we don't know who's going to get more in arbitration. Do you know what I mean? Like,
no, that's all that's projected into what I'm saying to you.
Okay. Oh, okay.
And also, I haven't even taken into account they could non-tender some guys. Chris John's projected to make $3 million next year. Can you find another guy to fill his role and keep that $3 million? Probably.
Right.
So they got to make those decisions as well. Well, you can't non-tender him, but yes, you have to pay him. What, $1.5 million?
Well, they can get him, but yeah.
They still have to pay him.
Yeah, I just think, and again, I don't have access to the books, but the people who argue against me also don't have access to the books. Also don't know.
If the books didn't look great, he wouldn't have said the payroll will increase.
Right. And also, you just can't tell me the books don't look incredible here.
Also, credit to Bill DeWitt as well for noticing that they should probably make some, because he's the one that
you brought it up, and I put it out there on Facebook. I think I think Mo is up at the end of the year, right? Contract is up or coming soon.
Yeah, it's up. No, it's up.
You can't tell me that the pressure's not on. This is a team that's gotten. Hey, he's hired 3 managers. This is his 4th. No, this is his 3rd. He's hired 3 managers. He's fired 2 of them. Today, getting to our next point, good transition. Mike Maddux, Jeff Albert, both not coming back. Now, they were not dismissed by the team. They both made the decision. Maddux said he's taking a break, did not rule out not coming back, but does not.
He doesn't want to be a pitching coach. He said he wants to change of pace.
Do you worry about the environment in this organization? Like, no. Now, okay, we'll get to Albert in a second, because that's a little separate. But Maddux, like, do you think he's just getting? He is older, but do you think he's
older? It's a grind, man. It's a grind. He said he wants to change a pace. That to me says nothing about Ali Marmol. It says nothing about if there's any kind of
either. That's not what I meant. I'm saying
that's what I'm saying. So I believe that everyone. Skip Schumacher said he loved his time here. I think they have a great environment. Willie McGee said it was the most professional environment he's ever been a part of.
Yeah, love to hear that.
And if he says that, I believe it. So he
Which,
played
by
for
the
White
way,
Herzog.
You mentioned something that I think we took a long time to get to. Shout out to Skip. Very pumped for Skip Schumacher. Very well deserved. Here's what I will say: Skip going to Miami, he's got his work cut out for him, but that is a young team that is on the rise. If the ownership shows that they will spend money, they have to get offense. They can't score a liquor runs. They're like the Rays. Nobody in Florida, nobody in the major leagues in Florida can score runs, but they can pitch, and they can really pitch well. And if he can get a few
they've got
guys
a star
in there,
at second base.
if they can get a few guys in there, and then isn't the kid from Vandy is up, right? The outfielder, Lede. Yeah. So if he turns out to be what they think, but you still got to go sign money. You have to go spend money in the offseason.
Yeah.
But I am super pumped for Skip. I was a Skip Schumacher fan when he was a player here. I was pumped when he went to San Diego. I was more pumped when he came here, but I'm even more pumped for him to go to Miami, which, let me ask you this. In my opinion, your next bench coach should be Stubby Clapp.
Or Pop Warner. I don't know who it could be, but I would say Stubby Clapp has a good chance of being that.
We have done a great job of getting our bench coaches head coaching jobs. In my opinion, Stubby is the next guy in our system. Also, it is a natural transition. It's a promotion for Stubby to go from first base coach to bench coach. Stubby and Ollie have an incredible relationship. And
I don't know. That's what I was gonna say. Bench coaches are heavily relied upon by the managers, so it's up to Ollie Marmol. Ollie Marmol should be the one making the decision. Maddux shouldn't even be making the decision.
I agree. Opinion. I'm just telling you. I hope that's what they do. I'm hoping because then Stubby could be the next. Like everybody is like his name always pops up, right?
Yeah.
That to me, you get him to bench coach. That's why I love Pop. Leave Pop over at third base. Move him to first. Whatever you want to do.
Move him to first, dude. He has some of the worst sins in the league.
He's aggressive.
I love Pop. Same. Okay, we know him personally,
literally,
but I do not want him sending any more people like the way he does it. But he sends some people, and it's shocking why he does it.
That man knows more about baseball than any human I've ever met. That's what I know.
That is fair. But okay, so Jeff Albert said a lot of it. This is one of the biggest.
There you
news.
Go.
A lot of it was because of outside backlash, and he specifically mentioned social media. I've got a few thoughts on that. One, why the fuck are you checking social media?
I think that's everybody's thoughts.
Two, if you're out here saying, "Well, Cardinal fans suck," shut the fuck up. Every team does this. Just why is Jeff Albert looking his name up on Twitter? You know people aren't going to be nice to you. No one praises hitting coaches.
Also, to be fair, dude, you're one of 30 in the fucking world. Yeah. Like, yes, you're gonna take shots. Ollie takes shots. Mo takes shots. Like, we've given them. We've thrown them out. I'm not gonna lie. But that's like, you know what it reminded me of? Here's what it reminded me of. It reminded me of the 18-year-old high school kid who committed to, let's just say, North Carolina. North Carolina message boards don't like it, so he decommits and goes somewhere else. You know, that's what's
shocking to me? There's multiple things. One, I was watching, shout out Hot Take Central with Jim Hayes and Charlie Marlowe and Cam Jansen. They had Ollie Marmol on last week, and I was listening to it. And he said he likes the criticism because he welcomes it. He wants to get better, and he thinks that fans should have a voice in what their team does. So he does see the criticism, but he doesn't take it personally. So I don't know if I want a hitting coach that can't take criticism.
And let's be fair. Let me be fair. We have been Jeff. We started kind of questioning Jeff when Buddha got fired. We kind of questioned some things, right? Yeah. We did because I think that was fair. But then we started to become, when you look at what the system has done, entire this man was in charge of the entire system philosophy. Yes, he's not at Peoria every day. He's not at Springfield every day, and he's
nobody hired people that were there.
Correct. Our offense is as a system better than it's been in a long
since I've been alive, maybe, honestly.
Right. However, the criticism is what also, the criticism is what the criticism is. Let me say this. I'm going to say it again. I don't know how loud to say it. These guys are professional hitters. Jeff Albert's job is to prepare them for pitching reports and things like that and help them. Jeff Albert's job is not to teach them how to hit. Okay.
Turner Ward is more of that guy anyway.
Right.
So you know what's going to make me laugh? Is if Turner Ward becomes the hitting coach.
He's going
and they said they have some. There's a guy apparently in Memphis who's like a Jeff Albert protege.
Protege.
It's
prodigy
or prodigy.
Prodigy.
I mixed them. I mixed them together. But and he's gonna get hired, and people are gonna have no idea who the fuck he is, and then they're gonna realize he is Jeff Albert.
Did this guy? Hold on. did this guy play in the major leagues? Because if he didn't, there are people on Twitter
Probably hit
who are
in the
going to lose
minor
their
leagues and
mind,
major leagues.
and they are maybe the dumbest humans I've
I
heard.
hate that. Don't even acknowledge that. I hate that.
I'm done.
That's so dismissive. Like there's so
Also,
many great managers that never played in the major leagues.
Do you think other fan bases are, if they played for us, they should be one of our coaches forever? Because I am so tired of that too.
I've seen people want Derek Jeter and Mark Teixeira hired for the Yankees. So yes, I have.
Okay. Like, look, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying Matt Holliday wouldn't be a great hitting coach. I'm not.
In fact, he would be a great hitting coach.
But we don't know that.
But
we have no idea.
I think he would be. A lot of people think he would be. He would be. If Matt Holliday announced today, I want to be a hitting coach somewhere, there'd be multiple teams lining up to interview him. I guarantee that.
Guess what happened? John Mabry made the same announcement. He had multiple offers. Everybody in Cardinal Nation said John Mabry, including the Cardinals, would be a great hitting coach. He was here 2 years. Everybody wanted to fire him.
Hitting coaches get burned for. I think he was here for more than 2 years, wasn't he?
Well, I'm saying after 2 years, people wanted him fired. They kept him. That's all I'm saying. Like, here's the thing. Hold on. All I'm saying now, I want you to, we do not know. I love Matt Holliday as a human. I think he's a great dude. I thought he was an incredibly talented hitter. We have no idea what his philosophy is. We have no idea how he can coach. Look, Barry Bonds went to Miami for 1 year. People loved him, but he got so pissed at the job because people couldn't do what he did that he left. Like, I think there's a lot of that, and that's why, all these people who are out there saying they have to be an MLB guy. First of all, Dodgers hitting coach never played past college, right? Never. Robert Van Sciac, never. 2, Kevin Long, the hitting guru, never played a day in the major leagues, and every player in the league loves that guy. Yeah. So their ability to play in the major leagues means absolutely nothing. No. Anybody who tells me, they can help get them out of slumps, I can't listen to you because that makes zero sense.
No, and also here's the thing. So Jeff Albert obviously you don't want anyone to get harassed personally. Right. So if that was happening, that does suck. I'm not going to say it doesn't. I've never experienced that, so I can't really speak to a whole nation of people kind of going against you. But I will say that having a coach that cannot take criticism is slightly alarming to me.
Right.
And I have been a Jeff Albert supporter. I think what he's done with the organization was very valuable. But there has been comments from Tommy Edman, from Mike Schultz, that have kind of led you to believe that maybe there were some people that didn't love everything he did.
Right.
So this could end up being a positive. The stuff that he did is in the organization now. So
let's be fair. Also, there are also comments from Nolan and Goldie and Pujols and many others. Very, very, what is the word I'm looking for?
Supportive.
In support of. That's not the word I want. Supportive, but even more like not congratulatory. Either way, that were glowing towards Jeff Albert. So, you have to take everything.
I just don't think his philosophy is already in the dugout. His philosophy is in the organization. He's got guys that believe in his philosophy. I do not think Jeff Albert being gone is going to make a massive impact on the team.
Here's what I'll say, and I'll let you finish this up if you'd like to add it to it. The wildest thing about the Jeff Albert thing is if it is because of Twitter, fine. Why would you say it?
Yeah, that too, but also just delete Twitter and then you don't see it.
Yes, but if I am leaving a position and I want to stay in Major League Baseball,
right? You're at the peak of your job.
I'm not going to say I got bullied by Cardinal fan 47 from South County Steve. Do you know what I mean?
I don't get it. Also, it's very strange.
Hold on. If there is a Cardinal fan 47, I just completely made that up. So if there is, I'm not calling you out. I don't know.
I just think, I don't know, just log off Twitter. It's social media bullying. I get it. It does suck. It is a real thing. But also, you could literally just make it go away.
Do we know? Now, here's something we don't know, and maybe he didn't say. Were things directed at his family? We don't know.
There also is a possibility that maybe a player said, hey, you're not getting us ready. Maybe that was part of the backlash. I don't know. That could have just been an excuse. I don't know. I don't know.
I don't buy that.
He's gone, though, and they need to find a replacement. But also Mike Maddux. That's interesting. I mean, those are the two biggest jobs outside of manager in the dugout. So they need to figure that out soon.
One thing I don't think a lot of people maybe realize, and maybe they do, right? I'm not trying to say we know more than you. So maybe people do. A lot of people do realize this. I mean, every player is given the iPad at every start of every series with every pitcher, every pitch against hitters like him, against hitter in the count, everything, right? It is all loaded up for you. So to say that a hitting coach, even if they did say, you didn't get me ready, fuck off. You're a professional hitter. We literally gave you every single tool you could have. Like that, You know what I'm like?
No, but there is an approach thing that goes into it where were times last year Tommy Edmonds said that he didn't like the approach they were taking as a team, and maybe that is a factor. There were times this year where I thought their approach looked a little off, and where it looked like there were guys doing different things. So I don't know. They didn't fire him, so there's really
I'm
no
just playing
conversation to be
devil's
had
advocate
about
here,
that.
but you know as well as I do that you could be given the approach as a player, and when you get up there and you're facing 96 on the black and cutters and
Well, I
sinkers,
don't know anything
that
about that.
you're
Never
not
done that in
thinking
my
about
life.
the approach. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, they are. They're good enough to think about the approach. They better
In
be.
the on deck circle, they are. Once they
They
get
pay
in the
enough
batter's
money to think about
box,
the approach in the batter's box. So I hope they are.
I think once you get in there, your approach becomes your approach.
It just depends. I don't know. I mean, now that the two were fired, so there's really not much to talk about on other than
No,
who are they going to hire, and I guess we'll see
yeah,
soon. I hope that the uncertainty of not having a hitting coach doesn't deter Nolan Arenado at all from coming back. I don't think it will, but they need to figure that out, and they need to figure it out fast, in my opinion.
I just think to me it makes perfect sense to make Turner Ward your hitting coach. Like it really does. Like
it depends. If you think there's someone better for the job, hire some person better. I don't
right.
care what makes more sense. Hire the best person for it.
I know, but we already have hired Turner Ward, so we thought he was
Yeah,
really
but
good.
maybe he's a better. Maybe he likes being more hands on, so he doesn't need
He's
to be
also
the guy.
like best buddies with Goldie and Nolan.
Yeah, but he's already in the dugout. If he doesn't want to be hands on with everything,
That's true.
I mean, if he doesn't want to be the guy that gives all the scouting reports, then that's not what he wants to do.
Pitching coach will be interesting. Here's where we're gonna hear. Here's what we're gonna hear. Chris Carpenter, which maybe, but again, don't know.
You're not doing that. You know Chris Carpenter
I
at
don't
all?
think so.
If anyone knows Chris Carpenter at all, or has heard the dude speak, he is not going to go in the dugout right now.
I also get the kick out of with that. I think his intensity we need. You can't give someone else Chris Carpenter's intensity.
Let's just make no. Let's just make Wade. Yeah, let's just make Wado a player coach.
It's gonna be interesting to see. Like I'm not well versed enough in the pitching coach world to even make an assumption on who they're going to hire.
I almost hope they pick someone that I don't know who they are.
Yeah, and also to be fair, I hope it's someone who's never pitched for the Cardinals.
Me too. What they've done. Mike Maddux never pitched for the Cardinals.
No. I
Nick
understand.
Lilliquist never pitched for the Cardinals.
Okay, you're missing what I'm trying to say here. What I'm saying is I would like maybe somebody from the outside to come in. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, I would too, and I want it to be an analytical guy, if I'm being honest with you.
Yeah.
A Matt Blake type. And then also the bullpen coach, I'm struggling to find his name now, but he is no longer the bullpen coach.
Oh, didn't know that.
Eldridge. Something like that.
Okay, didn't know that. I missed that one.
Oh, sorry, Eversgard. That's what it is. Eversgard. Brian Eversgard. He's no longer the bullpen coach. I don't know what that's about. They said he's getting reassigned to a different spot in the coaching staff.
There you go. So probably something better than being the bullpen coach. He'll probably be at the minor league levels, being some sort of pitching. I think Eversgard was a pitcher for the Cardinals. He'll probably go to the minor leagues to do some sort of coaching. Do you know what I mean? Because he probably wants to be a big league coach.
Probably. So those are the big coaching changes. They've got 4 vacancies that they need to fill. It's gonna be interesting. I don't know what they're going to do, because even if they make a Stubby Clapp a bench coach, then they need to get a first base coach. So
right.
Hopefully they use some guys in the minor league system, because some of the guys in Springfield and in Memphis probably deserve a promotion. So hopefully they consider those guys, which they normally do. So we'll see. Here's one thing I will say. I hope Ollie Marmol gets to be a massive part of making this decision. At this point, there's a new manager. He's still new. And there's now a new bunch of coaches. He should be able to pick who he wants to be with him.
I agree.
And he should be rolling with those guys for as long as possible. That's my opinion.
You've said it. We've said it on here, but you kind of started the train. Most important front office. I mean, very important. I added the most important since 2011. But yes, also just to throw out, it's not fun news, but I think it was 8 years ago today. Was it today? We lost Oscar. In my opinion, changed the entire trajectory of this franchise. Like it really did. You don't. It would
be like. I don't want to say that. It'd be like losing a top prospect today. But
right.
It was. I remember where we were.
Put that out there.
I didn't say anyone's name. It's like losing your. It's like you losing your future.
Right. I mean, here's the thing. You don't sign Dexter Fowler. You don't trade for Jason Hayward. You don't trade Alcantara and Zach Gallen. Like Oscar, we were massive Oscar. Like I loved him.
It was horrible.
I started the hashtag. I mean, I didn't start, but free Oscar was my thing in 2013. Like that was it. So to lose him, it was just, it was just such a tough. It did. He was your number one guy. He was the guy who was going to come up here and be the guy for 10 to 15 years.
You watch your future just go away is what it felt like. But also more importantly, I remember where we were. We were watching The Walking Dead when we found out on a Sunday in fall. I remember exactly where we were. It was, I believe, it was the World Series was going on. I believe was that 2014 when he died.
Absolutely, yes.
Yeah. So that was horrible. So yeah, rest in peace. It's so sad. I don't even like talking about it.
Yeah, yeah.
I feel like
It's
losing
very,
a
and like
family
I said,
member is really what
it
it felt
really
like.
changed, the whole landscape of this franchise. And I think they're still sort of scrambling to get over it. I think they're on their way, but
And obviously,
fact is,
no one knows what
no,
Oscar Maris was actually going to be. But I mean, he was special. He also, I mean, he was loved by all of his teammates, which is more important,
yep,
obviously, than what he's going to be as a player. But yeah, 8
yep.
years ago, I can't believe it was 8 years. That's crazy.
I know, I know.
It's
So,
horrible.
not to end on a down note there, but yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see what we do. Now I do think we have to take a little break. Like I've got to
Is there
pack.
anything else that we missed? I feel like there might be something we missed.
I don't think so. Wayno, coaches.
Oh, there's some.
Um,
Okay, so John did just release some Mosaic quotes. Do you want to hear him about Nolan
yeah,
Arenado and his
absolutely.
conversation with him? He said the topics were how are we going to deploy our resources, um, and then it was we on Nolan's, and this is what he said on Nolan Arenado's decision. We can come to a place where we're both very happy and have that understanding. He just wants a little time to think through that. I don't know what that means. I didn't like that last quote,
I
but
don't like that at all.
but he said again, I'm hopeful and I'm optimistic, and I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what that means. Maybe he will be. Who knows? So
Then
it's
why
a
did
really
you
bad
read that?
double sad note. Well, I didn't see. I didn't. I was reading it as I was
Yeah,
reading
we
it
know
out loud.
nothing. And it could just be to discuss what they talked about. That he may have put a bunch of options on the table
Yeah,
and
maybe.
no one needs time to process those. I mean, that makes sense. That's just not reported well, which, by the way, your source,
Yeah. Did you see his tweet today?
no,
I'm gonna put him on blast for 1 second because he kind of deserves it. Um,
I try
one
not to.
he had one tweet. He deleted it now. Okay.
Did
Well,
he
he had
call?
one tweet today about the press conference before he released any of these that he just released, but it said, uh, Jeff Albert joy returning as the hitting coach. It didn't say not. It said joy, and he left it for like 3 hours. I mean, you didn't see it and change it. The edit button could really help him, I think.
Yeah, well, or not. I don't know. It might not, but yeah, we'll see. It's gonna be interesting. It's gonna be an off season, or big off season for so many franchises, and the Cardinals are one of those. So
Yeah.
here we go.
Yep. We'll see what happens.
All
There'll
right,
be
you
a
got
lot
anything
more
else?
news in the next 10 days, probably 14 days.
You got anything else?
No, I'm good.
Blues play tonight.
They do. They had a shitty game
Pelicans
2 days ago.
Pelicans won last night. Illini are at Nebraska this weekend. So let's go.
Blues are 3-1-0. Played one of the worst games I've seen them play in years.
Yeah, that's what I heard. I didn't
2
watch
days
it.
ago. Whatever. It happens.
All right.
All right.
So pay attention to everything, guys. It's going to be interesting. Hopefully, we get again important all season. Let's make it where we need it to make it. We got to make those right decisions. Like we can't just go keep filling holes with guys.
Once
We got to
again,
get
make sure Nolan Arenado is a Cardinal and go from there.
Yeah, I think that's going to happen. I'll still stick by it. I have no doubt in my mind.
If he's not, I will
Because
hate
who knows how many
multiple people.
typos were in that?
Well, he also said another one, but I purposely didn't tell you because it doesn't seem as optimistic.
What did it
So
say?
this is he said, I don't think it's about reworking the deal. He's just trying to use his time and sort through some things. He asked questions on how we're thinking about the club.
Oh, well, that he should.
Yeah, but if he's not reworking the deal, then why has he not said that he's opting in?
Who knows? Again.
Okay, whatever. Well, enjoy.
Yep.
This is a great way to end this podcast.
Yeah.
Hey,
don't forget.
He'll be back. He'll be back.
You can find us on Twitter at @more_noble, at Caleb Noble 08. Give us both a follow. We'd love to follow you. We'll give you a follow back. Love to see you. Oh, there's somebody in my backyard.
Oh,
it's your Uncle Brian. I just realized
Okay, let's go. Let's wrap this up. I have to go to the grocery store.
Well, I just about had another panic attack. Anyway, so good to go there on all of that. Now I lost my train of thought. Everybody have an awesome week. Stay safe. Take care. We'll talk to you soon. Cheers.